All right. The WBC takes my advice. I'm shocked and happy. Danny Garcia is the mandatory for Errol Spence Jr. for his WBC title. And I think that solved the problem and also creates a very good opportunity for the welterweight division. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel, subscribers. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Also, thank you to everybody that attends the live streams and also supports on Patreon. Also, make sure that you show up 8 a.m. Central Standard Time Sunday for OG Boxing Talk with myself, KQKC Boxing, Curtis Anderson, and my man Blood Boxing Sunday, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. Okay, after Errol Spence Jr. had beaten Sean Porter, much to everybody's surprise, Danny Garcia got some courage and got up into the ring with Errol Spence Jr. and they said they wanted to have a fight next. And I was not happy about it. I didn't want to see that. I didn't want to see a Danny Garcia fight with Errol Spence Jr. coming up next. What I want to see was either, like everybody else, either a Terrence Crawford fight with Errol Spence or a Manny Pacquiao with Errol Spence, because they are the other champions in the welterweight division. And I would very much like to see a unified, undisputed champion in that division. So, was not happy when Danny Garcia got in there talking about he wanted the fight. And you know he didn't just get put in there. That was orchestrated. He knew he was going to get in after that fight and he was going to be lined up for the winner. So I did a video and I said, look, man, if this is going to happen, at the very least, make Danny the mandatory. So if Danny, I hope I didn't say Manny, if Danny is the mandatory, then it's kind of like a Carlos Ocampo fight. You know you're going to have mandatories with the WBC unless that is you wind up becoming a franchise champion, that garbage. But as a regular as the WBC champion, you're going to have mandatories. So I think that was a good move. Because Danny Garcia previously was a second mandatory for, I'm telling you, man, the WBC, of all the belts, I like the WBC the most, but god dog, man, their rulings, it's like, man, where are you coming from with this stuff? You got franchise champions, you got first mandatory, second mandatory, silver, second, third degree mandatories. Like, god dog, man. Can you please be a little more predictable, repeatable, be a little more systematic? Right? Be a little more systematic about what you do. Anyway, Danny Garcia was the second mandatory for Keith Thurman when Keith Thurman was the champion. But then Keith Thurman vacated the belt. I think at least he didn't get risen to franchise champion. They didn't give Keith franchise champion, but they elevated him to whatever. So I think Keith Thurman is even in the line somewhere to get a shot at the WBC title for welterweight. But they had Danny Garcia. They wound up having Danny Garcia and Sean Porter fight each other for the vacant title. Right now, Danny Garcia is back as another mandatory for Errol Spence. And at least, again, the reason why I think this is an okay deal is because at least it's a mandatory. And when Errol Spence Jr., after that fight with Danny Garcia, then Errol Spence Jr. is free to fight either Terrence Crawford or Manny Pacquiao after that fight. I doubt very much that that's going to happen. Either one of those two fights are going to happen before Danny Garcia and Errol Spence Jr. I doubt that very much. And actually, seeing as Errol Spence was injured in that car accident, it's going to take him at least 6 months before he's going to be able to be back in the ring. I would suspect, just getting over the psychological trauma of having that car accident. And then if he has some facial lacerations and issues with his teeth, he's got to make sure all that stuff is shored up before he gets in the ring. So the opportunity that presents then is for Terrence Crawford to fight Sean Porter, or Manny Pacquiao to fight Terrence Crawford. Those are the fights that should be made. If Errol Spence Jr. is tied up with, number one, healing from his injuries, and number two, he's got a mandatory that he's going to have for the WBC. Now, he had his IBF mandatory 2 fights ago, so he should be okay for a little while on his IBF mandatory. But the WBC mandatory, I don't know if there's been a WBC mandatory since Sean Porter and Keith Thurman, which was like 3 fights ago. So I don't know. It's interesting to see where that is. But we know with the injury and the mandatory that's going to put off that fight, a fight with Errol Spence for a while. And we can then hopefully have Terrence Crawford be able to answer questions about fighting the top welterweight. Because as of right now, Terrence Crawford has not fought anybody that people would consider to be an elite welterweight. And that is Jeff Horn included. Jeff Horn beat Manny Pacquiao, but that was a bit of a shocker. I don't think anybody thought before that fight or after that fight, realistically, that Jeff Horn was one of the top welterweights. A matter of fact, it wasn't a cherry pick, but let me put it this way. If Terrence Crawford had just decided to fight Jeff Horn, like now, right? Say he beat anybody for the welterweight championship, the WBO championship, anybody. And he was fighting now and he picked Jeff Horn, we would be putting Jeff Horn right along the lines of the guy he's about to fight next, Igis Kalvanakis, the Mean Machine, or David Benavidez, or a washed up Amir Khan. So having that Sean Porter, Errol Spence Jr. fight off the radar for legitimate reasons, the rematch off the radar for legitimate reasons, it opens up something for Sean Porter. It opens up Manny Pacquiao because it's also two of the top welterweights that are off the table. It's not only Errol Spence, it's Danny Garcia. So if Manny Pacquiao wanted to fight Danny Garcia, that might be off the table because he's got a mandatory shot for Errol Spence Jr. And also, but anyway, you get my point. That is what this thing sets up. I really believe that the best thing that we can get in the welterweight division is for Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford to fight for all the belts. And also for Terrence Crawford to legitimately beat somebody who is a top welterweight and have a lot of eyes on his fight. Now, I know that's the business of the boxing side, and us as hardcore fans, we all know how good Terrence Crawford is. All right, I say that I believe Errol Spence Jr. is going to beat Terrence Crawford, and I still believe that. But I'm not saying that with just such conviction that I think Terrence Crawford doesn't have a chance to win the fight, or that fight is a 90-10 or 80-20 proposition. But I do, and I talk about the business of boxing on a pretty regular basis, I do believe that it would be beneficial for all of boxing and for the credibility of the guy that actually wins the fight, for this fight to be as big as it possibly could be. And a fight, if Terrence Crawford can have those 2 fights, either one of those 2 fights, I think it really adds to it. If he's able to fight Sean Porter and beat Sean Porter convincingly and easily, more easily than Terrence Crawford, than Errol Spence Jr. beat him, more easily than Sean Porter beat him, and more easily than Kell Brook beat him, then people are going to realistically say, hey, man, dude, this guy, hey, man, he might be the favorite, and this guy really might be the top welterweight. God forbid that he's actually able to get a fight with Manny Pacquiao. Now, Manny Pacquiao fight we know was a lot less likely because Manny Pacquiao wasn't willing to fight with him when he's over there at Top Rank. But again, man, what options does I guess Manny Pacquiao has a lot of options because anybody would be willing to fight Manny Pacquiao. But still, Manny Pacquiao has to fight somebody that is a legitimate fighter. Manny Pacquiao's not going to fight, especially at Manny Pacquiao's age, because Manny Pacquiao can screw around and fight somebody like Ordenis Ugas and get Jeff Horn, because that's highly possible with a guy like Ordenis Ugas. Ordenis Ugas has a chance to beat Manny Pacquiao. The same thing could be, and Sean Porter. Sean Porter can beat Manny Pacquiao. I don't know whether or not, it's just, I don't really know what options, or let me put it this way, just the fact that there's a limited number of top welterweights by that simple fact, limit the options Manny Pacquiao has. So maybe he'll fight Terrence Crawford. But anyway, man, I might be trying to polish a turd a little bit here, but hey, man, don't have anybody out there tell me I didn't try. At the very least, though, Danny Garcia and Errol Spence Jr. is a mandatory fight, and it can be up out of the way, and you won't get stuck with any other mandatories for a while when the rest of these are going through. Anyway, it is what it is. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.